age to protect young individuals, ensure readiness for marriage. So, and again, so I just want to pause in then and ask you a question: how does marrying too early or too late affect a couple emotional and financial preparedness for marriage? Even though I have no issue with, I believe that, rather, I believe that age is a number. We say some 30 something years don't know what they're getting into in the marriage, and you see 19 years old getting into marriage and you really know what they're looking for. They matured in every area. They matured spiritually. They know they're ready. They matured emotionally. They matured financially before they get into the marriage. They matured, they put all things need in place. They really prepare themselves. They have savings put in place, and of course, physical maturity is very, very important as well. Maturation is important. Developing every part before you get into marriage. So, um, and again, so if someone that when you marry like 13 years old, 14 years old, which happens in parts of Asian and African culture, this affects the couple emotional and, uh, uh, if the both couple are young before they get into marriage, but they are minors before getting into marriage, of course, it's going to affect their financial preparedness for marriage as well. Again, when we're looking at I'm looking at the variations, culture variation in marriage before we go straight into discussing. So you need to understand, you need to know the age of your partner. Okay, I have a friend that, because she developed very, very, her body is the body of 20 something when he met her husband, whereas he was only 17 years old or 16 years old when he met the husband. But the husband, she looks like 27 or 30 years old. The moment that the man who knows that she's interested in her, get to know that her age is 16. They didn't go further with that relationship until she was 18. So the guy was still show interest, send her to college, university, while still maintaining distance away from away from her, until she finished university and she reached the 18th years of age. So by the time she's 21, she was already a graduate in the university. So, and that's when the man proposed, and the man was like 20 years older than her, but they are really, really solid up to today. So of course, that is an example there to know. Another variation we have to know, culture variation, is choice of partner. You need to know the partner you're marrying. So in many cultures as well, there's what they call arranging marriages. In the part of Africa where I come from, and the northern part of where my country where I come from, there is arranging marriages. Even before the child is born, they've already give the child away, if it's a boy or a girl. And again, at the early stage, because of the issues, maybe financial problems and all that, economic stability, it's always an arranged marriage. And again, family, they just look at, okay, this one will be good for my children or for my daughter or for my wife, looking for good, moral behaved child or a spouse for their children. So again, a family plays a major role in selecting partner, which emphasizing family compatibility over other choices. And again, love marriages, again, I'm talking about choice of marriage. Other culture prioritize individual choice with romantic love as foundation for marriage. And again, when we look at the choice of marriage in some area, again, most people choose their partner based on mutual love and respect. All society place some restriction on marriage partners. This may be based on religion or class or blood relationship. So when we talk about blood relationship, like for instance in Ireland where I'm living, restriction are based on consanguinity. That is, blood relationships. If you are from the same family, you're the same siblings or cousin, you're not meant to marry each other. So brother and sister cannot marry one another. And then another one is affinity. Affinity is when mother-in-law and father-in-law get married to one another. So I'm talking about variation of culture variations. You need to understand the culture variation before you go into that marriage. You need to know, a man cannot marry his own mother-in-law or father-in-law. That's one of the culture variation. And again, marriage also can be arranged. Parents decide on who their children will marry based on suitability and background as well. This usually arranged from a young, a young age. Arranged marriages are popular in countries like Asia and again in Nigeria. And then again, there's variation of forced marriages. Just want to give you this culture variation before going into that. So, forced marriages where a person had no choice about whom they marry. So in Sudan, for instance, the legal age for marriage in Sudan is 10 years old. So which with many forced marriages taking place. So when you marry 10-year-old, the boy, the girl here, the boy or the girl, especially girl, had no choice. They were being forced into that marriage. Another variation, culture variation, we need to know, you need to understand this before getting to marriage, is Western society. There's in Western society, there's monogamy. One partner is accepted and most common form of marriage, whereas in some other countries, polygamy many partners is accepted. So you need to know where your partner is coming from. So if you practice polygamy is one way, and no I say monogamy is you and your husband. So you need to talk about this thing before you get into marriage. You need to know yourself that so you need to know what you're looking for. Are you ready to marry more than one or two wives? So let's talk about polygamy as well. In polygamy, in some cases, one male have several wives. So, and of course, this is common in Africa and Islamic society and some Mormon communities as well. So, in that situation, you have in my country where I come from, the Oni of Ife have beautiful, 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 beautiful wives that they are like 7 or 6 at the moment. Before this current marriages that he already had one queen, which is a beautiful queen, but she did not allegedly support polygamy. She believed in one wife and one man. She believed in monogamy marriage. These things have to be put into consideration before you get into marriage. When I enter into marriage, would I be able to bear other people sharing my spouse with me? Before you get into that marriage, this has to be discussed among both of you so that there won't be no breakup in the marriage, there won't be no separation or divorce. And this is what happened between the previous queen that just left, and the rest of the queens now. So the previous queen maybe realizes there's going to be too many people coming into the picture. I don't know. Allegedly, I said, she moved on and the marriage broke up, but there was a child between both of them. Yes, that doesn't make her a bad person as well. So, but the people that come here less than a year later, the queen, the king get married to 6 beautiful credibility wives, so credible wives rather. So, and again, you need to understand all these things before you go into marriage. And when the marriage, you're getting in the background of the family you want to enter, the practice polygamy. In that polygamy type of marriage, male is in charge. You need to understand that. Are you ready to give male a charge over your life? Check your personality. Are you ready to be able to do this? Because love, although we talk about it, that love is not enough when we're coming to marriage, because marriage is life thing, it's a lifetime business. So you need to understand all these things. So normally in a polygamy kind of marriage, the man is in charge, and it shows a man's worth and success because he is able to provide for more than one wife, just like the king that I just mentioned in Oni of Ife, in Nigeria, married 6 wives, but he's in charge and is well enough to look after them. Is well and successful enough to look after them. And again, when you're thinking about settling down, or when you're planning your marriage or on your way to marry, you'll have to look at where do you guys want to stay? Okay, are you staying near your husband, where the groom or the husband living? That is called patrilocal. Patrilocal is living in the home area of the husband. Okay, and matrilocal is living in the wife's area, family area, living in the wife family area. And local is when both parties decide the time, okay, I'm not living in my the patrilocal, or I don't want any matrilocal. That is, I don't want to live near my husband and I want to live near my wife's family. We go neutral. That's called new local. All these things have to be discussed beforehand, before entering into marriage, in order to have a healthy marriage. All these things have to be put into consideration again and again when you are going into marriage. We're talking about understanding the family where you're coming from. In society, what is passed on to the eldest son, this was common, in some of the Western worlds, in the past. But inheritance now is legally shared among the spouse and children. This has to be discussed. Children born outside marriage have equal inheritance as well, rights like others. So all these things have where I don't let them come to you as a shock when you enter into marriage. This could be naivety from your side, or something you don't consider. And again, when you want to get married, you need to understand one another. Wedding ceremonies and customs, what kind of marriage they do in what kind of marriage you are looking for, what kind of marriage they do in your spouse background. Okay, we have different types of marriage ceremony as custom. Many current wedding customs have been popular for centuries. The bride's veil and the wedding ring, both from, it's been from ancient times, whereby the brides wear white wedding and then veils to cover their eyes and everything. There's church wedding, there is mosque wedding, there is just a neutral wedding, there is Hindu weddings. The bride and the groom are led around the fire in 7 times for good fortune. That's the type of wedding. In Jewish wedding, you will see in Jewish wedding, a glass is broken under the groom's foot to symbolize the destruction of the Jewish temple in Jerusalem, and remind the couple that a marriage also can be broken. So you need to understand what kind of wedding you are looking for. You don't want to having that kind of discussion, or let that have that issue on you when you enter into marriage. In the end, you have to sit down when you're still together. And I fall into category, like I mentioned that before. Even though I'm a good girl, I was a good girl, you know. And before I got married, but we had planned that, okay, when we get to where we're going to, like new local is where we choose. We're not staying beside my my family. We're not staying beside my my husband to be then family, we were going abroad to live. And then it was like, okay, so, we will leave the marriage. When we get there and start setting and then put money together, we'll be able to do marriage. So I think I entered into cohabiting, which was against my religion, which against my family believed I was the only girl, and they were looking forward for me to do the right thing. Even though I chose the right part, I chose the right partner, and then I was not a wayward child, but still living that's what is meant to be done aside. It can have a lot of implications. Until that was done over like 10, 11 years after we started living together, that was when my mom was really pleased with me initially. And it wasn't done the way I really wanted myself. But so my priority was wrong. The priority for me then is, okay, let's move in together and let's start, and then we will come work together, and then we do the necessity things. But things didn't work out that way. It didn't work out that way. And again, I'm just going to say, if you're a woman or a woman, it's very, very important that you let this be done for you. Don't just give yourself cheaply. This can cause a lot of disrespect. The person will not value you the way it's supposed to value you. It's like you're just throwing your value away. You're just throwing yourself away to someone. Make sure all this thing is done first. It doesn't have to be elaborate. You don't have to break bank to do all these things. You can still do it within your limits, but make sure it is done. That's the first step before you start living or cohabiting together. It's good. This is different from any culture, but I'm talking of Christian marriage now. So in my background, my parents really, really, really was looking forward for me to get married for the day of my marriage. Being a good girl, I would say I was a good girl, and they really wanted to be proudly give me out to, but at the end of the day, I made my own choice. I decided to move in first and then to save money and then do the marry, but it never came to the way it was we planned it initially. So it was done later on, but not the way I wanted, and a lot of things. And that actually set the tone from the marriage, because I felt no valued in the marriage, because I just entered that marriage cheaply. So the things that I was believing to see is not what I eventually got when I enter into that marriage. And I think when you allow the right thing to be done by you, you know, it set a tone for your foundation. Foundation is very, very important. So I'm not saying there's no couple that did actually did that and it worked for them, but they are minority. They are minority. So, and for you to get to where you're going and to get your bearings, make sure you do the right thing by yourself. Don't just keep with yourself cheaply. And again, you need to understand the legal requirements in marriage before you enter into marriage. So marriage must be entered into voluntarily by both partners. They cannot be forced. When you want to marry legally, now, if you want to marry legally, there's nothing like forced marriage there now. So, like in Ireland, that I am living I'm living. If you want to get married in Ireland, you have to be marriage. You have to enter into that marriage voluntarily. Both parties must be the one to agree that they want to get married, and that is they're not being forced there now. And like I said, the variation is partner must be over 18. In exceptional cases, maybe partner under we can marry, but there must be a court exemption order. But that's different from culture to culture, country to countries and everything. So, and again, so you need to understand partner must be free to marry. Neither spouse may be in an existing marriage if you want to do court marriage. legal marriage. You must not be in an existing marriage before you do that. You need to check and make sure that your partner is not married and is still married before getting to marry to you. That can cause a lot of problem for you. It can give you economical instability, especially when the spouse find out and come for you, take you to court and ask you to pay your took and pain, your took and anyway, every money that you saved can be paid in court. So make sure that your partner understand this. Make sure that both of you're not being forced into marriage. Make sure that it's what you're looking for that you get before. So the couple cannot marry a close blood relative, which is consanguinity or affinity. If you're married, as your mother-in-law or your father-in-law from other side married mother-in-law is not allowed in Ireland. But of course, in many parts of the country, this is allowed. And also, if you're married, like say you're married in Ireland, you need to understand that both of you have to give yourself 3 months written notice, which must be given to the register. Don't let anybody force you into the marriage. Don't anybody get you to do marriage, with their own consent. It's a mutual agreement. Mutual agreement. I eventually got into marriage. I married, in Ireland, and 20 something years ago. Again, but I wanted to do that marriage back in Africa. I wish I've done it when I'm supposed to do it. But knowing what I know today now, because I wasn't even know the day was even didn't pick. I have been crying, asking, doing all sorts of things like, we need to do this, we need to do this, we need to do the church wedding, we need to do this. But the day the date was picked and everything, I didn't know about it. Anyway, so we didn't have this discussion to say, okay, now we're getting ready to go over and do this marriage. It wasn't discussed. So it was not my own opinion in that marriage. It was the opinion of the husband to me. He just came and tell me, oh, we're getting married. And then we did. But that will be a year after I got a very good job. And then knowing what I know today now, and there's a reason behind the marriage. And because all of a sudden I've been crying over like, we need to solidify this. My parents are not happy. If I know this is how we're going to do, I wouldn't have gone over this and everything. Eventually we did it, but not with my terms, not on my terms at all. I didn't even know. So later on, I know the reason. So it has to be a mutual agreement between both of you. And if you're not happy with the date being chosen, question the date. Ask why the hurry. Why are we picking these dates? And what is your intention about this? Especially when you are cohabiting and then you want to get married. So that's another story for another day. But yes, I'm just sharing my own experience here as well, because it goes a long way. It goes a long way to understand what you're getting yourself into. So we would have been together for like 14 years before we eventually, all of a sudden, we have this legal marriage. Or I really wanted the church marriage. But no, that didn't come. It was the legal marriage that the husband brought to me. And that was a year after I got a very good job. So all that thing, you need to understand, you must be in mutual understanding. You must know where you are coming. Both of you have to agree on a date. Marriage must be registered and the ceremony within the two witnesses. And that was the simplest form of marriage ever. It's only between me and him, and then we've already had one, and then two people that witnessed to that marriage. And of course, we had children, two, already. All these things, they have effects on you in the future. If care is not taken, all these things have effects on you, have effects on the children. So what is worth doing at all is worth doing well, but make sure that you understand the point where your partner point of view, where it's coming from, where you're coming from, is very, very important. Make sure both of you have mutual a responsibility over this and mutual agreement. Make sure that the decision to do this favor both of you, not favor one part. Do you understand? It's very, very important. Again, your rights and responsibility is very, very important. You must know your rights and responsibility. So preparation for marriage is very, very important. And while we're talking about marriage, so I haven't said all that. Having said not that, you need to understand that some culture emphasize male inheritance, while others seek property. Some country, when you're female, you don't have any inheritance. You need to understand all these things so that it will not cause any problems when you're getting into marriage. And talking about how can fairness, inheritance improve marital harmony and family unity, because you don't want disunity, you don't want problems, understanding the value, understanding what's going on in that family. When you marry into by polygamy family, find out if there's unity. Are they in love? There's a unity in that family, because the background will definitely affect you unless you prepared your mind before entering it. You understand what you are entering through. Okay, so it's very, very important you know all these things. All these things. Marriage doesn't have to be elaborate, but make sure you do what is necessary. Intimate ceremonies is very good. Plan for the future, not for the wedding alone. Yeah, if you want to go elaborate and if you have what it takes, and if that's your choice and it's not going to affect your future, it's okay. But plan for the marriage, you living together, the union, than the day of marriage that they will take. And then again, when you're talking about, you think there's the cultural symbols, there's the attire, vows, rituals, and all that. They have deep meaning. They hold deep meaning. You need to understand. Are you getting into rituals? People make marriage. At the end of the day, when you have your first child, or you can't eat so food, or you can't do this. This has to be discussed beforehand, before entering into marriage at all. you know, Understand your family value. You are the only child, you're married into a large family. You need to understand where they're coming from. Your spouse needs to understand you. And then again, so when you are in that your corner, you understand that you being the holy child, it makes you to be like that, and they will not want you to, Rome does not beat in a day, and they're not expecting you to change overnight for them. All these things is very extremely important before you entering into marriage. So I'm going to round up the session, but before round up the session, I just want to say here now that remember that family shapes an individual outlook, life, value, and priorities. So do a solid background helps. I have my own. I have, you know, you don't work in regrets. But I have that if I have to do this again, I will do it in a better form. Okay. I see some patterns that had affected, you know, based on the choice I made. Um, And this is why this topic is there into my heart, to share my own and then to help others to see. Like I said, not many people will be lucky, not many people will be unlucky, but it's better is to be safe. Okay, it's better to be safe. This prevention is better than cure. That is what this is all about. So, because marriage isn't just a union between two people, it's blending two lives together, blending two culture together, blending two family together. So, and then this is one key aspect they often overlooked in an excitement for wedding planning, understanding each family's background. Maybe there's some thing in the background of the marriage or the family that you need to broke, talking about Christian now before you get into that marriage. That has to be broken. Other aspects have to be looking after. Spiritual aspects. We talked about when we started with that. We started with the spiritual aspects of this. The spiritual aspect has to be looked after. You need to understand family shapes, that you understand the family shape and individual outlook, values and priorities. Understanding your family background helps you to see where the principles and habits come from. So there won't be no insulation. Oh, he's doing it purposely. She is doing that because she's like that. No, it's just a pattern. But because you've already studied that, it makes life easier. You understand what that comes from. And then, together, you can actually look for solution. We talk about premarital counseling. And then again, after you got married, you can as well still take that to further looking for help. But you'll be able to wait because you've already known that it's a pattern. You see where that principles and habit come from because you know it comes from family. For example, if one partner grew up in a home where finances are openly discussed, why the other came from a family that avoided money talks, this difference could lead to misunderstanding in marriage. So this has to be discussed, or getting to know all these things is very important. Reviews pattern and expectation when you are courting is very, very important. So because family dynamics often influence behavior in marriage. You understand? I come from it, but I've mentioned that so many times that maybe because I grew up in church and then my dad, before he left this world, I was only 15 when he left, but I don't see them fighting, and then there's so my mom was a clergyman woman and I live in the church, I live in the soul. There's so many things, that it wasn't, I should have aware of, that I wasn't. But all that dynamics actually affect me as well. Now, all my life, I do pray. I know so the Bible, the relationship with God, the one that I know, then the one that I go deeper and deeper and deeper. You need to know if this person is going to be compliment you in that area. You don't want to be struggling when you get into marriage and like, oh, can we do this? Can we do that? And the person say, why you should do it? I do. That's not my lifestyle and I can't do that. This has to be discussed. You need to know all these things, not under pretense, but has to be discussed genuinely. Both of you have to know where you're coming from. Observing how a partner interacts with his family can reveal the expectation for communication, conflict resolution, are responsible for future. I was growing up with not even be able to look into my mom in the face or talk down on her at all. But I've seen it's a pattern even in my courtship as well, before we get married. So a partner from a very traditional family may expect specific gender roles. Again, why some from a more egalitarian family might prioritize shared responsibilities. Like I said, I grew up and I was the only girl in the family. And then, but the only girl, then my mom was a clergyman. So my own was kind of in between, like my mom had, and then I lost my dad at when I was 15. So my mom has been the one taking that being that role. And then he was the pastor of the church. He was pastoring the church. I was the only girl. So I grew up with that mindset, So and so I don't believe that there's one thing the man in some aspects, when it's come to be agile, when it's come to do stuff, when it comes to that, I got that from my mom. But when I get into marriage, it was no, 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 you can't do this. This is the man, I'm talking about. I'm a monogamy woman, but I'm married into polygamy. But I didn't know what I was getting into. Do not forget that the episode started with my own naivety in marriage before I get into marriage. I didn't know that polygamy, it's my mom and dad alone and the love, and then I'm married into polygamy family where a lot of things happen, and then the man is in charge. Like and there's I married to find out that there's a limitation even in church concerning women, because my mom was the one led in the church. I'm not lording over not to lord, because I still look at my mom trained him in a way that I looked after when it's come to domestic looking after people. She taught me how to be the one to look after food and all that kind of thing. But when it's come to other stuff, like I look up to her, the way she does things. So these things were not discussed. So when I get into marriage, and then because I didn't get married, I didn't start living with my spouse immediately. I think we were in courtship 4 years, and then another maybe 4 years, maybe 4 years back in together, and 4 years distance relationship. But all that I was still naive. There's some certain things I saw while we were dating that could have addressed that I did not. I thought we would get better. Oh, prayer will do this. Oh, I can do this. I can take ownership of this or that and that and that and that. And then in the course of us dating, of course, as a girl, I was doing my own thing. So when you get into marriage, you know that you're two, and he was doing his own thing. And that was the problem as well. He had in mind that, okay, you can't do this. But I was trained in a way that go ahead and put this together. I will be wanted to do it to make him to be proud of me. Like when I saw me that, oh, she has fixed this, she has done this, he will be proud of me. That's my thought. But that was not the case at all. It's like I'm rubbing the ego. So I have to it took the time to understand. But I then again, for me to understand was not that gentle, or getting to that opportunity to understand. All right, I got so many physical abuse before I actually understand, what is it. Communication wasn't the case there now. So instead of us communicating it, the only communication there is blah, blah, blah. I don't even understand what I've done wrong. I thought I was doing something to make him proud or something, but it was the other way around. So you need to understand. So you just see where this is coming from. So understanding family history can uncover potential challenges like differences in culture, tradition, parenting styles, unresolved family conflicts, mending a monogamy in the polygamy situation, your own personality, where you're coming from, and all sorts, all that thing could help you. So a partner whose marriage has an history of a strained relationship might need extra support in developing all the communication habits in marriage. Okay, people that grow up in a polygamy home, they tend to be, strained and all sort of things. And you that has coming from a very quiet background can get caught up and I find out that I can't deal with conflicts. I can't, I get chaotic. I can't handle it. I don't even know how to handle it at all. So I went from being not be able to say anything to like be able to like, the only language I understand, because I wanted to communicate, but the person you want to communicate, the only way they could communicate is through physical. So it was so bad, and you don't want to find yourself in such relationship or bad relationship. You need to understand where you are getting to. And I tell you, if you're a teenager, if you're a young adult, I'll say from my experience, your personality now, no matter how good you are, is not your final personality. It is when you enter into marriage that will determine your final bus stop when it comes to your personality. Things can shift. Things that you don't even know you're capable of doing, you might find out when you enter. If all this thing is not settled beforehand, before you get into marriage, they can actually cause a lot of chaos. They can actually merge you. Marriage can merge you, and marriage can merge you. M-A-R-K or M-A-R-R-E-D. Marriage can merge you, or it can make you. It can mar you, or it can make you. But it depends on the transition. It depends of your level of self-awareness before you get into marriage. It depends on your preparation, your maturity, and everything. So practical ways to understand family background: first, have honest conversations, talk openly about family traditions, talk openly about your values and experiences. Ask questions like, what roles does family play in your life? There's some people, they don't, maybe the father gone, the mother gone, and it's all it's sort of one role. I love family, and everybody that's closer to me knows I love family. I love my siblings because that's the foundation I was given. I love family. I love family so much. But fortunately or unfortunately, when I entered into marriage, it wasn't that. It, I, you know, it was tough for me, especially when the children were coming on board. I have to make a lot of personal sacrifice. I have to make a lot of, you know, it's my own pleasure or guiding this, everybody, including the spouse and everything. So you need to understand, you need to find out what role does family play in your life. What role does family play in your life? God is still helping me, not understanding this before I get into marriage. In the life of my children. Thank God they're good children, but there's aspects of what I found out in the marriage that it reflects in them as well. So it's very important. Rules. What were your parents' expectations for marriage and family? You need to know this. What's your mommy think about marriage? Your father, how do they think? What do you think about marriage? How did your family handle conflicts or major decisions? Discuss this before you even enter into marriage at all. And peradventure, you're in the marriage at the moment and you're still young and you're still family. It's still never too late to go back into discourse in this topic and revisit it and talk about it. So again, do some observe interaction. Spend time with your family, your partner family, to observe their dynamics. If you're like coming from a very nucleus family, or very small family, you might have to get used to your family, your husband family, to get to know them, observe the dynamics in the family. This will help you to understand how they relate to one another and what influence your partner's perspective, whatever that comes. I said that when I entered into marriage for a very long time. Up to now, I still have some issue. The issue I have is I have water here. If I ask you, oh, can I offer you water? If you say, no, I don't want, I believe you don't want. I believe you don't want. So I'm going to leave it. But if I offer you water and you say, oh, yes, thank you, and you have it, wholeheartedly, I will give to you. But when you say you don't want, I don't want to force it on you. So when if I offer to help somebody, oh, can I help you? I know, thank you. I'm learning now to be able to push forward. No, give it to me. Oh, no, I do it. Let me help you. Once you say, oh, no, you can't do it, I believe you wanted to do it. It's now that I'm trying to understand that, oh, you push forward, you do more to do that also. If you say yes, I believe yours, yes is yours, yes. If you say no, I believe your no is your no. But when I enter into the marriage, for like 16 years, I suffered because whatever I say does not believe. You're lying. You're an hypocrite. I'm like, oh, what for? Why would I be an hypocrite? What do you mean by that? Where is that coming from? It's water. You said water, I said water. You said yes, I said yes. You said this, I said the way it is what I said. What you see is what you get. But no, that's not what you meant. And before I say Jack Robinson, not even you want to talk. When a man is talking, you don't talk. And that's place to be. You know, it takes me 16 years to understand that he's actually projecting himself on me. That was who he is. And he thought, oh, I'm the same person like him. So you need to know what influenced your partner perspective. You need to know. Why does he believe? Why does he not believe? Why does he not trust? Because he has trust issue himself. She has trust issue himself. The person that lies will believe that you're a liar. There's nothing you will say, they will believe that you're true. An hypocrite will believe that whatever you say, if it is true, the way they will believe that you are an hypocrite because they will be equating you to themselves. And if you're now into a relationship whereby somebody is very physical, even on top of your innocence, you still get physical on top of that. You understand? So discuss potential differences. Address any area where your family values and expectations differ. For example, family financial priorities. Is your family more spendful or frugal? You need to find out about that. I don't have luxury of so many. I'm comfortable. I was comfortable when I was growing up, but I don't have that luxury like my partner. Okay, I didn't know. So financially, he was more stable than me to some extent, but I am very, very, very comfortable, very comfortable. But they are more better financially than my family, that person when I was 15, like I said. So discuss things, discuss, you know, church, discuss ceremony, discuss anything that needs to be discussed before you enter into that marriage. You might enter into marriage and then the fear of unknown, anxiety and everything can make you not to be able to discuss anything anymore. And then if you're like, you have a good personality, or you're a Christian or somewhere or something or that, and you're just taking it on board because God will not want me to do this. Oh, marriage is this, marriage is that. He said, oh, and that I have to take it. Oh, what will people say about me? It's recipe for disaster. Catastrophe. Is that what they say? It's coming to eat you up. And then when you are bam, then you bam. When you are get to that breaking point, then you broke. You will break into pieces. And then God, well, it can be so much damaging. Not it can be damaging, it is damaging. but God can build that up for you. Comes a stage in my marriage, in my life, that I will be crying, asking God, why do I have to go through this pain? Say, yes, go through it now, because I've called you to heal the brokenhearted. And what I'm doing sitting down in front of you is to heal the brokenhearted, is to help you not to get into that before you enter. And if you're already into it, is to be able to identify, to do something about it now. It took a doctor friend of mine to say, Nikki, you need to self-love yourself, because I have to stay. Take away. Family shapes the individual. Believe it. Your partner family background gives you insights who they are and what they value, and also vice versa. Understanding prevents surprises. So that's why you need to understand now. Knowing about your family dynamics, traditions, challenges can prevent the misunderstandings after marriage. Then again, all the boundaries are vital. When you get to know many things, then you know how to put boundary into place. Is it not daft to not know anything about hypocrisy until 16 years of suffering in a marriage? It's daft. And that is me. But a lot has been done. A lot has been done. And then please keep record. Because the person that if you're not keeping record, don't keep record of wrongdoing. But you don't have to keep record if you're just entering into marriage and you are. Keep record of this discussion, because you will of your discussion, so we can both of you can be sitting down and going over it in a video or something to remember what you guys discussed before you enter into marriage. And if you're in a marriage right at the moment and issues are not getting better, don't suffer in silence. It's not too late. Leaving it and keeping it quiet is more damaging. More damaging. You have to do something about it. Marriage is about unity, but it's also about understanding. Don't forget that. So when you take time to understand your partner's background and the variations like being discussed earlier on, you are investing in the deeper connection and a more harmonious relationship. And then I'll tell you, remember that it's not about judging or comparing, but learning and grow together. So, close remark for today. Thank you for joining our discussion today. If you find this session helpful, don't forget to like, to share, and to subscribe to this channel. Let's continue exploring how to prepare for and strengthen our marriage in wisdom and knowledge. Your well-being, your family well-being, your community well-being is equal to the well-being of the society. So if your well-being is positive, is positive emotionally, psychologically, mentally, financially, then it's shaped the society that we are. Remember, see you next time. And remember, building a strong marriage starts with understanding, patience, and intentionality. God bless you. Until we hear my voice again, I'm going to stop here. Until you hear my voice again, please leave comments below and put whatever you can put to contribute into this. Share this, and God bless you. Until you hear my voice again, Shalom. Bye.